World Tank Blitzers, it's Littlefinger. It's Friday. It's September 15th, and that means store review. And yes, it has been a long time since I last did a review. Really has not been a lot in the store worth talking about, but I played a few games this week and noticed that there are some nice tanks in the store that are definitely worth talking about. The reason for not posting as much in July of this year, I really jumped into cross-country mountain biking. I bought a really nice bike secondhand. Didn't realize it had 10,000 miles on it, and so it's become a little bit of a project in the sense that things keep breaking. I'm learning how to fix them, which is great, but it's not so good when I just want to get out there and ride with my son, who you may know rides competitively in Georgia. And all of this is in part due to the fact, I don't know if you can tell, some people have made comments and noticed that I've lost 65 pounds since last year. So I wouldn't be able to get out there and ride with him without having done that. So it's been a nice long year of getting back in shape and being able to get out and do that with him. But with that being said, I am looking at purchasing a new probably downcountry bike with a little bit more suspension. So if any of you guys have this as a hobby as well, please reach out to me on Discord. Would love to know, where you ride, what you ride, because there's so much to this sport that I am just now scratching the surface of, and want to know what type of bike, how I can test these bikes, where to go to get the best prices, etc., etc. So again, Discord, DM me, would love to get into a chat about that. So now on to the store review. I noticed here on the, you've got that Panzer 50T here. We'll talk about this one. It is for sale, and I was just kind of waiting here for the gold crate to come up. Doesn't look like it's going to, so I'll manually make it come up here. And these are all of the offers, some great tanks that I really want to talk about here. But all right, so here is the gold box offer that is on your desktop or your garage, whatever you want to call it. You have to fill this up and you get a really good deal, 75,000 gold for $12. And I say really good deal in the sense that for a smaller investment, you're getting a pretty decent gold per dollar exchange rate. Now, several months ago, Wargaming changed the price of gold, and I pretty much try to stick with this one as my new standard, which is about 650 gold per dollar. That desktop offer is not quite 650 gold per dollar, so just keep that in mind. But it is certainly better than this 6,500 gold for $11. So it fits kind of in between these as far as a good deal. It used to be a much better deal. So if you can find gold anytime over 650 gold per dollar, you're doing well. The downside here, you're getting a little bit more. I think you're close to 680 here, but $110 is a huge investment, and not everyone has that available to put into this game. So we're going to talk about all of these tanks when we get to them, but I do think as I was scrolling through here, as far as the individual offers, I noticed here that we've got the AMX 30B for $48. This is crazy expensive. Certainly not worth that amount of gold, so please stay away from that offer there. And then we've got, I don't know what we're calling it, the Hawk 30 here in containers. Again, just stay away from the containers, guys. There's a lot of charms you have to get. So I don't even think you're guaranteed it with it 25 containers there. I haven't done a lot to back into the research on that. So just try to stay away from the containers. And we're going to just scroll on down to the tank section so that we can talk about it. We've got another tier 10 medium tank. This is German Panzer here. 60 kilometers per hour top speed. It's got a fairly accurate gun. Only 8 degrees of gun depression. I say only with the Leopard there at 9 with a more accurate gun, more mobile. A little bit more armor on this, not quite as speedy. I would not put this in my top 10 of medium tanks at tier 10 that you want to own. So looking at this bundle here for 25,000 gold. Let me just do the math real quick on that. Divided by 650 works out to be about $38 if you buy it this way, buying gold at 650. That is quite expensive for this tank, and I don't think this is quite worth it. It is relatively new to the game, so the price is certainly going to be high. Again, we want to see our tier 10s below 17,500 for us to consider it a decent deal. We're going to skip over the tier 2. We're going to talk about the Jagdtiger 8.8. This is a pretty fun tank to play, especially if you like a little bit slower, heavily armored, I should say heavily armored, nicely armored tank destroyer here with a very high rate of fire and good DPM on this tank. As you can see here, 3,300 DPM for a tier 8 tank. It does come with 30 days of premium time, and unfortunately the 5X are only available for this tank. But at 5,500 gold, I find this to be a pretty good deal. I enjoy this tank, even though I am not a fan of slower, less mobile tanks. So getting into some of these deals here that made me want to do a store review today. We've got the Scorpion and the Kampfpanzer 70. A Kampfpanzer 70 is a tier 9 tank, and I don't know if you noticed, they called this the large caliber bundle here. And this tank here only does 2,135 damage per minute, but you look here, you've got an HE pen of 100, and that's before you put the equipment on that, so you can get that up to 110, and you're doing 640 damage with that HE. So this is a fun little tank in the sense, if you can get that derp gun working right, you know, it is a lot of fun to play. Granted, your aim time is 4.2 seconds, dispersion at 0.31. You have 6 degrees of gun depression. Top speed is only 40 kilometers per hour. And you do have some weak spots here on the side. The armor is not super great for a heavy tank, but it is kind of fun in the derpy sense to use that gun. And then you pair that up with the Scorpion, which has 2,600. So you see the big difference there, going from 22 to 2,600 and a tier lower. And you're doing 600 HE damage, but only 72 HE pen. 6 degrees of gun depression, 55 kilometers per hour. So this tank adds the speed in it. You've got a fully traversable turret there, which is nice, allows you to stay in camouflage and not move the tank as much. And then let's see, so you've got 3.3 and a 0.264. I love this accuracy on this tank, and the ability to play a double-sided kind of play style with it. You can be very passive early, stay in those good sniping spots, and then you can use its speed and damage per minute numbers to be a little bit more aggressive in the end of battles. I find this a very fun tank to play. So all said and done, for 15,500, you know, you're getting the camos. It's a decent deal. It's not a great deal, but you've got two pretty fun tanks to play that I do think you'll use quite frequently. Looking at them individually, 10,000, 8,500 for the Scorpion. You know, if I had to choose one over the other, I would certainly go with the Scorpion first. All right, so moving on, we've got a few days left on the T55A. Another tier 9 tank. This one, however, is a medium tank. It's kind of a hybrid nation. 27 DPM. Let's see what yeah, only 5 degrees of gun depression makes this tank a little bit harder to play. You've got some nice pen and damage numbers on it, so you don't have to be on target quite a lot with this tank as far as mediums go. It's kind of awkward being a tier 9. Just standard T54 type playstyle with it, really. I don't know if I would really recommend $24 for this tank by itself. A lot of other tanks in the game very similar to it. Now, this is actually the bundle that really made me want to talk about this. 2 really fun tank destroyers, completely different from each other, which is what I like to see in these bundles. And the price for 2 tier 8 tanks is really not that bad here. So the Kanonen 105 here, let's see, 2700 damage per minute number. What I was looking for here is top speed of 55 kilometers per hour, which is what I thought. This tank is very mobile. Got 8 degrees of gun depression, 3.2 aim time, 2.26 as far as dispersion. So again, another tank similar in a way to the Scorpion with its mobility. You can play kind of that double role, play as a typical sniping tank destroyer early, and then get out there and use that fairly nice DPM and mobility to be more aggressive at the end of the battle. And this is probably one of my favorite tank destroyers at tier 8. The G-Sor, I'm still kind of getting comfortable with this tank. It takes a lot to get used to it. So the reason being the Hesh, and let's take a look here at that Hesh pen of 58 is not great. Oh, 187. I'm sorry, that's the Hesh is 187. I did a little double take there. And you're doing 440 damage with it. So you can run, just your standard AP shell with 260 pen, but you're only doing 350 damage. Hesh comes in at 187, doing 440 damage, and it's a 2-shot auto loader, 2.5 seconds between those shots. So in 2.5 seconds, you can get out 880 damage if you can pen both of those Hesh shells. 14.5 seconds on the magazine reload, and you can see that damage per minute is a little bit lower, but it would jump up if you can get those 440s instead of 350s in there. 3.6 and 0.3 and 8 degrees of gun depression. And where I think this tank fails a little bit is that top speed of only 49, and the turret rotation on this tank is pretty slow too. Excuse me. So, you really want to make sure you're using that Hesh and getting that max rolls out of it. But it's a difficult thing to be comfortable and to know exactly where to aim on some of these tanks to find those weak spots and maximize your damage per minute. But when you get this tank in the right spots, it can really do a lot of damage. But again, just be aware that it is not, I wouldn't even say it feels like 44. I guess that power to weight ratio, it takes a while to accelerate. But for 13.5, I do like this bundle. And I think these are 2 very unique tanks that are worthy of consideration. If I had to pick one over the other, especially for the price, I'd go with the Kanonen. But again, there's other tanks in the game pretty similar to it. The G-Sor is pretty unique, so just keep that in mind as well. Fire and Ice, we've seen this so many times. $7,500 gold, yeah, $7,500. Gold is a decent price for just a tier 8 by itself, so you're getting the tier 7 Blaze in there as well, which is a TD. Limited rotation on the turret. Does hit pretty hard with 500 damage using HE, 400 with your regular AP rounds, 8 degrees of gun depression. 50 kilometers per hour as top speed. It's a fun little tank at tier 7 for sure. So again, good price on these tanks, but the downside here being a lot of tanks at tier 8 like the Glacial with this this kind of body style. So you may already have a tank like that, and it may not be unique to your garage, and therefore you might not play it as frequently, and that's a lot to spend on just the Blaze, in my opinion. So Blaze by itself, 3,000, may just want to consider that. So I am not going to talk about any of these containers or anything. Just make sure you're opening your free ones frequently. But yeah, stay away from all of these other containers in Blitz. It's just going to suck away your gold and your confidence in the game. So anyway, guys, like I said before, if any of you are into mountain biking, cross country, whatever, I would love to hear from you and talk about your experiences. Obviously looking for other places to go outside of Georgia to start riding more, and I'm just having a blast with it. So sorry for not getting as many posts out there, but honestly, I have not played but a handful of Blitz games. And those that I have, you know the deal, 7-0s on each side, hasn't been a lot of fun. So you know, maybe update 10.3 changes things around, get some of those new maps or reconditioned maps back in rotation, and I might be playing a little bit more. So with that, have fun out there, have a great weekend, and of course, get educated, not fingered. Littlefinger out.